In the heart of Nigeria, nestled among rolling hills and ancient baobab trees, lay the village of Yumwofia. This was a place where traditions were woven into the very fabric of daily life. And the most sacred of these traditions revolved around a goat. Not just any goat, but Adonea, the first daughter of the land. She was a magnificent creature, with a coat as white as fresh palm wine and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of generations. Adonea wasn't just an animal. She was the village's living oracle, a symbol of truth and purity. The belief was simple. As long as Adonea was safe and sound, the village would prosper. Now, in this same village lived a young man named Obi. Obi was known for two things: his unmatched skill in carving wood and his unwavering honesty. People would say, if you want a mask that speaks or a stool that tells a story, go to Obi. If you want the truth, even when it stings, go to Obi. He wasn't trying to be difficult. It was just how he was built. A lie felt like a stone in his throat. The village chief, Ogwefi, was a man of great presence and even greater appetite for power. He respected tradition publicly, but in the quiet of his own compound, he saw Adonea less as a sacred symbol and more as a reminder of the villagers' simple beliefs he could use to his advantage. He ruled with a firm hand, and his word was law. Few dared to question him, and even fewer dared to displease him. One evening, as a thick, humid dusk settled over Yumwofia, a frantic cry tore through the air. It was the goatkeeper, his voice trembling with panic. Adonea is gone. The sacred goat has vanished. The village square filled in moments, a sea of worried faces illuminated by flickering lanterns. Murmurs turned to anxious chatter. A missing sacred goat was a terrible omen. It meant the truth had been stolen from the land, and chaos was sure to follow. Chief Ogwefi stood before his people, his face a mask of solemn concern. "We will find her," he boomed, his voice echoing in the night. "Whoever has done this has invited a curse upon their own head. The spirits of our ancestors will not rest." He announced a grand reward for anyone with information leading to Adonea's return and a severe punishment for the culprit. Days turned into a week. The village was tense. Crops seemed to wilt a little faster, the river flowed a little slower, and laughter was a rare sound. Obi, like everyone else, was worried. He spent his days carving, his mind troubled by the missing goat. One afternoon, while searching for a rare piece of Irako wood deep in the forest, near the forbidden grove where only chiefs dared to tread, Obi noticed something strange. Partially hidden under a pile of leaves were goat droppings, and not just any goat droppings. They were fresh, and nearby, he saw hoof prints leading towards a small, hidden enclosure he'd never seen before. His heart pounded in his chest. Cautiously, he pushed aside a curtain of thick vines. And there she was, Adonea. She was tied to a tree, looking well-fed but restless. Obi felt a wave of relief, but it was quickly replaced by confusion. Who would hide the sacred goat here? As he turned to leave, he heard voices. He quickly ducked behind a massive silk cotton tree. It was Chief Ogwefi and his two most trusted guards. Obi's blood ran cold as he listened. "The village is perfectly on edge," Ogwefi said with a chuckle. "They're so desperate, they'll agree to any new tax, any new law I propose to cleanse the land. We'll keep her here for another week, then find her ourselves. I'll be hailed as the savior of Yumwofia." The truth hit Obi like a physical blow. The chief, the supposed guardian of their traditions, had orchestrated the entire thing. He had lied to his people, manipulated their deepest fears, all for a bit more power and wealth. Obi's mind raced. If he exposed the chief, he would be called a liar, a traitor. Ogwefi was powerful. He could turn the entire village against him. Who would believe a simple carver over their own chief? But if he stayed silent, he would be complicit in the lie. The stone in his throat felt heavier than ever. That night, Obi couldn't sleep. The chief's deceit gnawed at him. He looked at his carving tools, tools he used to bring truth and beauty out of simple wood. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, the village gathered again in the square, their faces etched with despair. Chief Ogwefi was giving another grand speech about justice and divine anger. Then, a voice cut through the air, clear and steady. "Chief Ogwefi." It was Obi. All eyes turned to him as he walked to the center of the square. "I know where Adonea is," he said, his voice ringing with a strange calm. A gasp went through the crowd. The chief's eyes narrowed. "Oh, "And where might that be, young man?" he asked, his tone dripping with false sweetness. "She is in the hidden enclosure near the Forbidden Grove," Obi declared, looking the chief directly in the eye, "where you and your guards have kept her hidden to frighten the village and bend us to your will." The silence was deafening. The accusation was monstrous. Ogbuefi let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "This boy is mad. He seeks attention by spinning wicked lies against your chief. Seize him," he commanded his guards. But the elders of the village, wise old men who had seen many seasons, held up their hands. "One moment," said the eldest among them, his voice raspy with age. "Truth is the child of evidence. Let us go to this place Obi speaks of. If the goat is not there, Obi will face the consequences. But if she is, then the truth will have found its own voice." The chief's face paled, but he couldn't refuse the elders. A large crowd followed him, the elders, and a bound Obi into the forest. They reached the grove, and Obi guided them to the enclosure. As they pushed aside the vines, a collective gasp rippled through the people. There was Adonea, the sacred goat, exactly as Obi had said. The truth was out, undeniable and stark. The villagers stared, not at Obi, but at their chief, their eyes filled with a dawning understanding and profound disappointment. Chief Ogbuefi stood frozen, his authority crumbling like dry clay. He had been exposed not by a rival or an enemy, but by the simple, unshakable honesty of a young woodcarver. That day, the people of Umwofia learned a powerful lesson. They learned that a lie, no matter how grandly dressed, will eventually be stripped bare. And that true power doesn't come from a chief's title or a display of force, but from the quiet courage of someone willing to speak the truth, even when it's the hardest thing in the world to do. The sacred goat was returned to her pen, and Obi, the humble carver, became a living legend, a reminder that integrity is the most sacred tradition of all. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from around the world. See you in the next video.